down and I live by the river.
Hello and welcome to Fulham Fan News. I know it's been a bit of a while, but we are back and we have a lot to look forward to this summer. And once again, joined with the usual boys, the man who started it all, Mr. Tom Carter. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. It's good to be back. Hopefully, one of many to come. Hopefully, we can make them more frequent going forward.
Yeah,
The three of us are a strong team, so hopefully we can pick up where we left off.
yeah. Pick up where he left off. And whilst Carlos Vinicius could be on his way out, his number one super fan still remains, Mr. Joe Gunning. How are you doing?
Yep, I'm good. My allegiances have swapped from Vinicius to Muniz since we last recorded. It's unfortunate that at the beginning of the season I decided to get Vinicius on the back of my shirt as a bit of a joke when in reality I could have gone the other way and got Muniz and then looked like an absolute prophet. But hey ho, I don't want to jinx it and get a Muniz top for next season, or else I'm worried that my curse of getting players on my shirt who will end up being absolutely awful is going to continue.
I've managed to get Kearney on the back of this tops purely because I know he's not going to leave next season.
Yeah.
Because I've had pretty bad luck with that in the past. But
Smart
anyway,
business, well done.
yeah, I'll get Muniz next season. See who's doing well. But yeah, it's good to have you boys back and good to get the show going again. Obviously we do have 4 games left of the season. So business end is more or less here. I just want to start off with really getting your thoughts on how Fulham's done this season so far. Just a little bit of a general overview. Tom, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
I think the best word to describe it is steady. Like Fulham have at the beginning of the season, with all the hype around Palhinha, Marco Silva, all the transfer window issues, Willian even potentially was supposedly going to go to Al Shabab. Well, even though after he'd signed a new contract at Fulham, only at Fulham something like that could happen. And yeah, it just the way the season started with that unbelievable win at Everton. I don't know how we won that game. Well, Bernd Leno is the reason we won that game. But after that, I just kind of felt that, Marco had it right. And I just felt like this was, we were going to do okay. I mean, I remember talking to you guys at the beginning of the season saying 12th. That's where we're going to finish. That's where I still believe we'll finish. It's pretty solid. Not going to pull up any trees. Not going to go down. Too good to go down. Um, there's been some real highs, obviously, this season. We've managed to beat some of the top 6, which, for Fulham is fantastic. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Spurs. We've beaten Man United. We've ran Liverpool close. But it seems to have gone the other way this season, where we seem to struggle against those sides below us. Burnley, I mean, don't ask me what happened to Burnley at home. I have no idea. Bournemouth as well. That was a terrible performance. Just that little bit in the middle of the season around Christmas time where we were playing those cup games and we were playing Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, things like that. It just seemed to me that we ran out of steam at that moment. And if we'd had a bit more depth, a bit more quality, maybe even a bit more nous, we could have kicked on into the top 10. But it wasn't to be this season. I think this season we didn't have second season syndrome. We lost our top goal scorer last season, and no one after Christmas was talking about Fulham potentially going down. Not one person I spoke to thought about it. I think there was a point where we were like 15th and people were starting to worry. But I always believe we had the quality to get out of it once those players returned from injury. So yeah, for me, if there was a word to describe this season, it's steady.
Steady is a simple way of putting it. I would definitely agree. I think we've had plenty of highs, a few lows, and obviously we've been at different stages throughout the season where people have been worrying about relegation and then hoping for Europe. But I think we've definitely done well at kind of weathering the storm of what could have been second season syndrome, like we've seen many clubs in the past like happen. But we managed to avoid it, and I think we've done well. We've put up a good fight against the top teams. We may have faltered a little bit against the lower teams and been a bit silly about how we play them, but we've got a big summer ahead of us. So if we strengthen in the summer like we should have done last summer, then hopefully next season we will be saying something a little bit different and hopefully a bit more positive. So, Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go for a similar synonym to steady and I'll go for solid. I think first season we bounced onto the scene. We showed everyone, look, we're not here to mess about. We're here to bring attacking, dynamic, exciting football to the league. And we did that not just through our play style, but the players we brought in. However, there's always a little thing when you go into the Premier League, especially that the second season syndrome that who knows, you may go down. I think most of us Fulham fans, we kind of knew we'd be fine just based on Marco Silva and the personnel that we still had at our club. But I think there was still maybe a couple doubts lingering from outside sort of fans. And I think we've really put those doubts to bed this season. We've shown through wins against big teams, like Tom mentioned, something that we didn't seem to do last season. I remember at one point last season, I looked at the table. I mean, it might have been pretty early in, and we'd not lost to a single team below us other than West Ham. And it's a shame that this season we didn't kind of stay along those same train tracks, because if we had and picked up those points against bigger teams, then who knows where we'd be. But I mean, it swings and roundabouts really. But I think if you consider the loss and what it seemed for genuinely half the season, like you couldn't go a Fulham game without Mitrovic being mentioned. And now I go ages without thinking of Mitrovic. I've got my Mitrovic notifications finally turned off. I'm not a jealous ex-lover anymore. And I think we're really pushing on. And for looking, I know we're not looking towards next season reviewing this one, but I think if we can improve the places where there's still maybe a little bit more to do, I think seriously, I don't know why we couldn't push on for that European place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you say, we've definitely seen the back of all the Mitrovic talk now, so he's a long and distant memory that we can just look back on for the good times, I'd say. And it'll be interesting to see whether there's more Palhinha talk this summer. Hopefully we can hope for less than last year, but I'll go off of your synonyms and I'll round off by saying stable is probably a good way of putting it. So steady, solid, and stable, probably how you describe Fulham's season this year. Not been the most interesting at times in terms of like losing in cup games and stuff, but we've still brought our sort of unique style of play and brought the game to the big teams. And unlike watching paint dry, we've actually been an interesting team to watch. So I guess that's the main thing to come out of this season is we've solidified our status for another Premier League season. We've survived second season syndrome, and we've played good football that people have enjoyed watching at times as well. So I think it's been a pretty good season. Of course, there's been plenty of great. Sorry, Tom.
Sorry, Kieran. I'd like to add in there as well the fact that we made it to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, which
Absolutely.
the first time in our history.
Mm.
And it's last season we made it to the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. So again, it's something else for fans to look to the future. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen in a cup game. You could go out at any moment, but that shows the progression as well. That shows the progression that Marco Silva has at the club. And it shows that we have personnel as well that can, on their day, be as good as anybody in the league. So, there's a lot to look forward to in the future, I think.
Absolutely. Who knows what sort of cup run we could go on next season?
If I could just interject quickly. I mean, I was just going to say we've gone on a lot of what went well, and I think that's because mostly it has gone well this season. But I was just thinking I didn't add on anything for me that I thought didn't go well. And I think the thing to me that sticks out more than most is our away form. Obviously, I touched upon not beating the lower sides, but I think our away form in general is just really disappointing. It's what Everton, West Ham, and United. Is that it for league games this season?
I believe so. Yeah.
One away.
That's it. Yeah, we won 3 away. Yeah.
It's really not great, and I've been lucky enough to be at all 3 of those. But you can't have been to 3 of those without having been to all of the losses as well. And what kind of really sticks out for me in a lot of these is we seem to kind of implode, and I think that's more of a mental thing. Where so often this season we've had games where we'll concede one and straight away there'll be another. I mean, we saw it against Liverpool in the league game. That one sticks out the most to me, and it's just pushing on to next season. If we could just instill a little bit more belief and confidence, like our players in themselves, that so what, we've conceded one, we can still go on and push and win this game, because we've seen that we've got this fantastic stat, which is that when we go ahead in games, we're really hard to beat. But we just need to reverse that mentality and remember that just because we've gone behind or conceded an equaliser doesn't mean that we can't still push on to win. So
Yeah, it's definitely something we
Yeah.
need to improve on next season. I do agree, because obviously people pay to go to these away games, and then just to see Fulham lose is not ideal. So either that, or I think you need to go to more away games next season, Joe.
yeah.
So yeah, plenty of good performances this season as well. Loads of key players, even though the main Mitrovic guy did leave. Who's been a standout player for you this season, Tom?
I think there are a few you could. I mean, you touched on the window saying it wasn't great last season, but I think if you look back at it now, there's been some real masterstroke signings.
Mm.
The likes of Calvin Bassey and Timothy Castagna stand out for me. I think we were all a bit concerned last season defensively with Tim Ream. Could he do it another year? Well, he doesn't need to now because Bassey has stepped in, and everyone was a bit worried because of all the Ajax fans saying he's no good, this that, and the other. Well, I haven't seen that player that played for Ajax. I've seen a really confident ball playing defender who, for the first time, like Joe says, at West Ham a couple of weeks back, I was there as well, Joe, and for the first time I saw Mikel Antonio get bullied by a Fulham defender. The amount of times I've seen Fulham play West Ham and Mikel Antonio just bullies us all game. Bassey had none of it, and it was so good to see. And at the age of 23, he could be a solid part of that defence for years and years to come. So for me, I'm going to go with Calvin Bassey, but Timothy Castagna is not far behind him at all.
Yeah, he's been one half of a core sort of like central players that have been really solid for us, especially in the defensive department. Obviously, he's been paired with anyone. He's been paired with Diop, Ream, Tosin as well. So, but either way, he's been solid for us and consistent the whole season. So I definitely agree. Calvin Bassey, standout player, and then Timothy Castagna as well. He's been absolutely excellent, as we saw hints of what he could do at Leicester City, and I think he's only got better from there. He's shoved Tete out of his place, and whilst we do see Tete every now and then, I think Castagna just solidifies his spot in there time and time again, and he rounded it off of his first goal for the club against Liverpool as well. So, Joe, who would be a standout player for you?
Yeah, I was weighing it up between Bassi and Muniz, so I'll go with Muniz. I think for me, it's and I know, I mean, I don't want to say this is recency bias because I know half the season he wasn't really ever present, but for me, it's not just about the goals, and obviously the most important thing about a striker is the goals, and the fact that he is scoring goals is superb, but it's more about his general play and his hold up play. I don't think he scored in like the last 3 games, and we've got Breuer, who I'm sure is itching to come in and try and prove himself. But there's nothing in me that thinks that Muniz deserves to lose his spot just because of how good he is off the ball, creating chances, bringing other players into play, and it's that which was what all summer we talked about. Look, Mitrovic going. We need a striker who can do these things. We need a striker who can not just score goals, but can hold up play our style of football, bring other players into it. And Muniz has just done that so perfectly, and it's just so shocking, I think, to all of us Fulham fans that we've had this player here this whole time who's this good. And to be fair, I don't think he's been this good for this long. I think maybe he's seen this gap and he's thought, right, I'm really going to crack on here. And I've seen people saying that he's more serious in training now and all of that sort of stuff. But I think, I mean, if that is true, it really, really is reflected on the pitch. He's really kind of transformed into what all of us wanted in a striker. And I've seen a lot of people saying, this might be an unpopular opinion, I've seen a lot of people saying next season, and this might contradict what I've just said, that we should keep just him and play Stansfield as a backup. But I think if we really want to push forward as a club, for me, it's about improving every position each year. I can look next year and say every position is stronger on the pitch, so we're going to do well. But I don't think Muniz and Stansfield is the striker partnership to push us forward. I think loan Stansfield back to the Championship, to a better Championship club, see how he plays for maybe a more possession-based attacking side in the Championship, and then sign a big striker, get a lot of money, get a big striker in to give Muniz more competition to push him on. Because at the minute, I don't really think he's got any competition. So I'd like to see because we'd seen what he can do before when he's kind of fighting for his place, and now he's got his place. So I'd really like us to see him kind of continue this form next season.
Absolutely. I think that'll definitely be a good talking point for the summer window as well when it comes to talking about strikers and who gets the nod in as number 9 for next season. But as you say, he's been absolutely excellent, even off the ball as well. And this, if you want to call it a purple patch, you can, but I don't think it is a purple patch because since he's been starting, he's done so much for us. But whilst he's been scoring goals, they have been crucial, and he's been performing so well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next season in terms of him. Another player I think deserves a shout is Anthony Robinson. I think he's been so much better for us this season. We saw hints of what he could do more last season, but I think this season he's really pushed on. He's been so consistent for us. He's obviously one of the top interceptors in the Premier League. And he's been a regular starter. He does everything right. Of course, every now and then he does occasionally give the ball away or do something a little bit silly, which most people on social media and stuff will focus on, which is a shame. But 9 times out of 10, he has been a really solid and consistent player, and his work rate on and off the ball is fantastic. So he's a player I'd like to see hopefully stay at the club over the summer, into next season as well. So
I think Robinson as well. He complements Willian so well. Like we're
absolutely.
seeing a renaissance from Willian, and we're all desperate for Willian to stay now. But I'm not sure he would be that player if he didn't have Robinson bombing on past him game like all the time. Because
Yeah.
every game you see the heat map of Robinson, and he's just up and down left side all game long. And Willian's just playing that sort of inverted role where he could just sit in a pocket where he doesn't need to have bursts of pace or anything like that. He's just, because we all know he's a great dribbler of the football. So, that's where he's good. And I think they work so well together. That's something that Marco needs to work with Willian and say, look, if you go, are you going to have this same sort of combination with him?
Yeah, that sort of attack on the left hand side has genuinely has been pivotal for us this season, and it's been really strong. That partnership between Willian and Robinson, as you said, has been excellent. So, Joe, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic point that Willian, we know his legs have gone a little bit, and he does benefit so much with having Anthony behind him. And I think it wouldn't be a smart idea for Willian if he left, because I think that this is the system where he'll work best. But then I guess he's getting old, so it depends if he wants his final paycheck. That kind of makes sense. But he's a player I'd like to keep, definitely. And Anthony Robinson, obviously, another player I'd like to keep, who I think we may be able to keep. To be fair, I don't think we're really a selling club per se. And I think if players are not interested in leaving, I don't think we're the type of club to sort of make them go. I think Palhinha's different because he had kind of that intention of wanting to leave. But yeah, hopefully we can keep everyone. That's my hope.
That is the hope.
I'd just like to say as well that none of us, we picked our standout player and none of us picked João Palhinha.
I'm just going to say
that shows you, like, one, what we've come to expect from him, but also the quality of players that we've got in the team at this moment in time.
I know.
Yeah, you've picked Jedi, you've picked Muniz, who is all right. He had a purple patch, but I agree. I think off the ball he's become so much better in recent times, and like up against Van Dijk at the weekend, he didn't get a lot of the ball, but every time he pulled it out of the air and he brought someone into play every single time. So to not pick João Palhinha, I mean, at the beginning of the season we'd have all been going Palhinha, but
Yeah.
it just shows you, even without him, the team goes on. We've seen Lukic come in recently and really step up. And another player, people thought, oh, he's off in the summer, he's off in January. But another player that's come in, taken his time, but now he looks a real part of the team.
Lukic looks like a different player to what he was at the start of the season. Like, if we were having a discussion about Lukic at the start of the season, I'm sure we probably would have discarded him. But now he seems to be a regular starter, and he's proven his point. He's proven his place. So, boys, rather than having just another discussion about another topic of the season, I thought, why not? Let's do a little quiz So I got a few questions about the season. I know Joe himself
Rubbish.
loves a little. Joe himself loves a little quiz, so I'm sure he's done his homework.
Yeah, I don't know. Speak too much just in case I get 0.
We'll see how it goes. So I've got a few questions just about the stats and some of the players. So some of them should be fairly straightforward. It's just a bit of fun. So number one, back in pre-season, Fulham played 3 games in the USA Summer Series. Who were those 3 clubs? And if you can guess the results, that's a bonus point.
Who's going first? We just got to guess.
Yeah, one of you goes first. I don't mind.
Well, I had this topic of conversation with my friend yesterday, actually. So we were talking about we think that a club, you can reflect how big a club is based on who they play in pre-season. But I could only remember 2 of them, which is, I know we played Chelsea in America, Villa in America, and we played Hoffenheim back here. If I had to guess the score, I know we lost I think we lost 3-0 to Chelsea, 3-1 to Chelsea would be my guess.
Close.
I guess 2-1 lost.
You got 2 of them right. You got 2 of the teams right. Tom, do you know who the third one is?
I think I got the other one.
Yeah.
Was it Brentford?
It was indeed.
Oh, I was going to say Brentford, but I thought I'm not. Who was it that Wilson scored a beautiful goal
Brentford.
That was against Brentford. That was the only game we won, and we won it 3-2.
2-1. Oh, 3-2.
3-2. And
we beat Hoffenheim, though.
We beat Hoffenheim 2-1, and then we lost 2-0 to Chelsea and Villa.
2-0. I was pessimistic.
Number 2.
It's not bad. Between us, we got it all, Jones.
Yeah, between us, we got it. Number 2, Andreas Pereira leads the way for chances created from set pieces, but how many does he have so far this season?
Don't know.
I can give you a choice of 3 to make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, go on.
39, 40, or 41.
Oh, that is hardly a choice between 3.
I'll give you around 40.
I'll go 39.
39. Tom, what are you going with?
40.
Tom is correct. 40 is the number.
Losing. I'm 2-1 down.
It's quite impressive though. I saw the stat this morning and I was quite shocked, but it shows that he's done well.
Is that from the other 14 podcasts?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're brilliant.
Yeah, class. Please come and join us on the show.
Shout out.
Yeah. Anthony Robinson is another player who leads the way for interceptions. But how many does he have? I'll give
77.
you 77. Joe, what are you saying?
I'll go 78.
Ooh, you're a little bit too high. He has 73.
Oh, I went the wrong way.
Way out in front of second place, Lewis Cook, who does only have 54 though. So that's something to keep tabs on in itself. I'll give you a question aside from stats for a moment. What is the lowest position Fulham have been in this season so far?
Oh, I'd say I'm thinking between 15th or 16th. I'd say
I'm saying
16th.
16th. Tom, what are you saying?
You say 15th then.
Yeah, it's 16th is the correct answer. It's the lowest we've
one
been.
Of them.
Yeah, it's the lowest we've been. And we've stayed away from relegation, which is the main thing. One more question on stats. I promise this is the last one. How many tackles has João Plina made so far this season? And how many yellow cards is he on?
He's on 13.
13 yellow cards, that's correct. But how many tackles has he made?
Tackles.
80, 85.
I'll give you a choice of 3 again. He have 130, 133, or 136?
136.
See that's what I was going to go for, but I'll go 133.
133 is the right answer. And I'm sure he'll have more by the end of the season as well. He just keeps going.
Probably another suspension as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to break the record, isn't he, for yellow cards if he picks up is it 1 more or 2? Because he got the last season. He tied the record last season, and now he's.
Yeah.
My thoughts are he'll get one tomorrow. He'll get one against Brentford, and then he'll be suspended for Man City.
Well, I
hope that doesn't happen.
I've got a question. If he gets 2 yellow cards, and let's say he gets one against Luton, is he banned for our first 3 games next season?
No, I don't think so.
I think they're reset.
I think if he gets a
surely.
red card, he is, but if it's yellow, I don't. I think it resets.
All right, well let's hope so, because
Yeah,
that
let's
that
hope
would be
so.
yeah, that'd be a poor start to next season.
Yeah. So the Premier League goal
If
scoring
he's there.
record, the Premier
Yeah.
League goal scoring record was smashed the other day. But since then, there's been 3 results. So the question is, how many goals have been scored in the Premier League this season?
1,083.
That was before the
There you
3
go.
results that came after it.
Oh.
So as of currently, I'll give you the
3
results. So you
results.
kind of, I'll give you the results so you can kind of do the maths. Man City beat Brighton 4-0. Everton won 2-0 at Liverpool, and Man United won 4-2 at Sheffield United. So if you do the maths, you can kind of work out how many goals
95.
12.
1,095.
scored.
Joe, add
Wait, is
12
it
to whatever you said.
1,095, I think. Oh no, 94. No, 95. 95. 95.
I got 1,097 on here.
97. I think that sounds to me like dodgy maths.
Dodgy maths. Yeah,
It probably
I
is.
agree.
If so, oh yeah, it's dodgy maths, isn't it? Well,
A lot of
shoot,
goals. That's what I was.
shoot the question, Master, I'd say.
No, I'll tell you what it is. You missed you forgot Palace 2-0 against
Newcastle, yes.
Oh,
Newcastle.
yeah, of course. There we go. 1,097.
I feel like that's a bonus point.
There we go.
It
Yeah,
is a
Joe gets
bonus
a bonus
point, yeah.
points for that one. And final question. In both of Fulham's 5-0 victories over Forest and West Ham, with an
Jimenez.
with an aggregate with an aggregate score of 10-0, can you name all the different goal scorers
I
in
reckon
Iwobi,
both games?
Raul Jimenez, Iwobi, Kearney. Um,
I'll give you a rogue one.
Yeah,
Carlos Vinicius.
he did indeed score one.
He did indeed score.
he did, yeah. Yeah. Harry Wilson.
Yep. You got 2
Mhm.
You
more.
got one against West Ham.
Did Diop score? No,
Ooh,
no,
no.
no.
Another centre back scored though. Was it Bassi Tosin?
Yes, Tosin. And then there's one more.
One more, and is it against West Ham, right?
I
Pereira.
believe so, yeah. No, not Pereira.
It will be. Is it Willian?
It is indeed Willian.
With Willian.
No, is Willian? Wait, is Willian against West Ham or
Yeah, William was
Forest?
against West Ham.
Was
It
it?
was
Yeah.
Iwobi got 2 against Forest. Jimenez got
Forest.
3 against 2 against Forest. Kenny got 1
Kearney.
against Forest, and then Jimenez got 1 against, and the rest of them all got 1 against West Ham. There were 5 different goal scorers in that game. So
Cool.
well done, boys. Nice little test of your knowledge. Love to see it.
Failed miserably.
I don't know who won. We'll kind of work it out at some point.
Joe
so.
won. Joe won.
Down and I live by the river.
So, boys, I think it's time we talk about the next 4 games. Of course, we have got Crystal Palace, Brentford, Man City, and Luton coming up as the final 4 games of the season. Tom, I want your thoughts first. How do you see the end of the season going?
Normally from those 4 games, I'd say we want to be looking for 9 points, to be honest. But with our away form, as Joe said, and also with how Fulham love to be a bit of a Robin Hood when it comes to giving people points. If Luton are still fighting on the last day of the season, then you can pretty much put that down to a home banker. Brentford, we seem to always struggle at the Lego Stadium, and Palace are on fire. So I'm not even going to mention City because
That's City.
Exactly. I mean, to take the name of another podcast, it would just be Fulhamish to so that would be the only game we'll pick up anything in. But no, if I'm honest and if I'm balanced about it, the way Palace are playing at the moment, I'd take a draw tomorrow. I think Mateta is on fire. He's a player that I like. I like him. I would have liked Fulham to have tried to sign him last summer, to be honest. I think he's got a lot about him. Big, powerful striker, decent turn of pace. He's showing the form that he had when he was in Germany now for Palace. And Oliver Glasner is a very good manager. Done very well with Frankfurt. So they're a different proposition to the Roy Hodgson side we played earlier on in the season. I think Glasner said that Eze might be out, which would obviously be brilliant for us. And obviously Willian is apparently available for us. So I think there'll be goals in the game. I think two attacking sides who will go for it. Obviously, the question now with the news about Tosin tonight is, will he start? Will we go back to Diop? There's questions around the game, to be honest. I'd be happy with a draw. I think maybe 2-2. Looking ahead, obviously we want to beat Brentford. I think earlier on in the season it wasn't a 3-1 game against them at all, or 3-0. 3-0, wasn't it?
3-0, unfortunately.
Ream got sent off, didn't he?
Yeah.
For probably the lightest push on anyone ever, and so that was we want a bit of revenge there. City, well, they're City and they're a juggernaut. As soon as they smell blood in the title race, they put their foot to the floor and they go for it. So I'm not expecting anything from that. And then, like I just said, if Luton are still fighting on the last day of the season, I think a lot of the Fulham boys will be on the beach and could quite easily fall to a defeat at Kenilworth Road. I've been there a couple of times, and it's quite an intimidating place when you're walking through people's back gardens to get to the stadiums.
Sure it is.
So yeah, I mean, I'd love 9 points, but if I'm realistic, I'm thinking we might pick up 4.
4. I think that's pretty realistic as well. I mean, by the time this episode goes out, the Palace game would have probably been and gone, and hopefully we would have pulled at least a point out of it, if not more. But I completely agree. I think Brentford will be difficult because it's at their stadium, but I do think we could possibly do something there. Could get some points. Because it depends if they rock up or not. City, that's City, but deep down, I keep telling myself we're gonna get something from that game. Because I'm delusional. And then obviously Luton, I completely agree on the final day. I think they'll be fighting. They'll want their Premier League status. That's if they're not already gone, which I don't think they will be, because the relegation battle is almost as tight as the title race. And it's shaping up to be a really good end to the season. So fingers crossed we do pull through Luton and we aren't on the beach. But if we are on the beach, I hope it means that Luton stay up, because they're a great side, got a great manager, and I think it'll be another Premier League season with Luton in the Premier League is a good season. So, Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I'm starting to get a little bit irked recently by this on the beach thing that our players seem to have stopped caring. I know we've done well this season, and I know we're kind of safe, but I just don't think it's right that our players, because it's true. I mean, I think anyone can see what's happening, that it is our players have kind of lost this fight and desire and this willingness to prove that we're Fulham, we're here to play good attacking football that we had at the beginning of the season. So I agree with Tom. Originally, I would have wanted 9 points, and I would have expected 9 points. Obviously, who knows if we'll get points against City? It would be nice to, because if we do get any sort of result against City, then it means bar Chelsea will have got some sort of result against every single Big Six club
and
this
Liverpool
season
as well, unfortunately.
Well, I'm counting the cup draw.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
As a result, but I know it isn't.
I don't
real,
count Chelsea as a top 6 side anyway. So
but that's
Yeah,
what I was
exactly.
gonna say. If we don't even count Chelsea and we get something against City, then it means we pretty much conquered it all. But I do agree with you, Kieran, that I want Luton to stay up. I mean, I live with a Forest fan, and I've had to hear all about how they beat us 3-1 every single hour of every single day since it happened.
And so you could give them the stick for beating them 5-0, I hope.
Him a couple times. Imagine if we can be the team that sends you down. But I'm not gonna not support my team. I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm expecting us to kind of go out there and give the fans a good end to the season. You said this will probably be out after the Palace game, so I'm going to give the naughtiest prediction right now that people are going to see come true, and that is 4-1 to Fulham.
4-1 to Fulham.
4-1 to Fulham. Bassi goal, Muniz goal, Wilson goal, and let's go Tom Cairney goal.
Who scores for Palace?
It could be. I don't care who scores
Mateta?
for Palace.
We'll go with Mateta for the fancy
Mateta.
football fans.
Yeah, he did amazing for me on fantasy this week. I got 135 this week.
Oh.
So we'll see.
Well, let's hope that's true. I'm sure.
It
Hope it does.
will be clipped up and everyone will be like, wow, how did he know this? I'd love for one of our players to kind of cement themselves in a little bit of history as one of the players that stopped. Because I mean, I think all eyes will be on that game. I mean, they put us on the prime time TV slot. So I think if we could imagine like a Munez last minute winner turn himself into a streets won't forget player. But we'll see. We'll see.
We will see indeed. Do you have anything to add on that, Tom? Do you think are you going to change your prediction or not? Give any thoughts?
No, I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stick with it because that's what I said at the
Confirm
beginning
on
of the
12th.
season. I've said it on every pod that we've done a prediction on, just because I don't think we've got the quality up front that we did have last season. Obviously, the Serb's gone, but I do think that there is potential in the forward line now with Muniz, the way he's playing now, and yeah, I mean, I think we'll pick up 4 more points, but I think that'll be enough to get us into 12th place, to be honest, as it's very tight in there from ninth down to like 13th. I think. I mean, if Palace do win tomorrow, then they'll be level with us on points. So and a couple of weeks ago they were 9 points behind us. So
Yeah,
this
completely
shows you
open.
how tight things can be.
Yeah, Joe, where do you think Fulham are going to finish?
Yeah, I mean, similarly to Tom, I predicted us in 13th at the beginning of the season. It's kind of panned out the way I expected. And I think it could be anywhere around there. I mean, it really depends whether our players get a kick up the arse and start performing towards the tail end of the season. Because I think that there's quite a lot of clubs around us who are kicking on and are getting points regardless of the fact that their season's over. I mean, I say their season's over. Look at Wolves, Bournemouth. They're still fighting for potentially getting Europe, but it would be nice if we'd kind of had that spirit throughout the whole season. But yeah, I think it could be anywhere around like 10th to 13th, depending on how we start performing.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I'm going to agree with Tom. I think 12th will probably be where Fulham finish their season. Comfortably mid-table, away from relegation, but just too far from the Europe spots, which is a bit of a shame. But it gives us something to look forward to, hopefully, for next season, if we can invest properly over the summer and push on like we should have done this season. So, do you guys have anything else to add?
No, not really, mate. To be honest, just that I think people need to look at this season in perspective, and we there was a lot of upheaval in the summer, and I fully expect there'll be a lot more this summer. But seeing like Marco Silva's pre-Palace press conference today, he's passionate about the club, and I believe that he'll be there throughout the summer and into next season. And he's said many times he wants us to kick on and get into Europe, and he's ambitious. So I believe that this summer could be a very pivotal summer, a very exciting summer as well. If we do lose one or two players, like we've seen tonight, Tosin will most likely be off now. Let's not worry about that. We all panicked when Mitrovic went, but look what's happened. We've unearthed a new Fulham hero in Muniz. The stalwarts are going. Ream's now gone, but Bassey's come in. So every player that has gone, Marco's replaced with a player that has stepped up to the plate. So Tete with Castagna for Tete as well. So the future, it may not always know what it is, but it could be brighter. So
I forgot about this little detail that I really liked our tweet the other day where we tweeted like 2 years, officially 2 years we're staying up in the Premier League, and I think that really gave context to the situation that we're in and how we've worked our way here, and the fact that none of us really, I mean maybe some people knew, but none of us had like focused on the fact that yes, we're safe for a second year because it was a given, and that really kind of provided context to me. I kind of went back and said to some friends like, oh, you remember all those arguments we had 2 years ago where I said we'd stay up, and you with all of those arguments. And now finally I'm saying, I'm telling you, I told you so. And they kind of went, yeah, well, fair enough. And that really provides some context for me that we're in a very good situation. And I think it's only going to go up from here, which is great.
Absolutely. Got a third consecutive Premier League season to look forward to. Thank you, boys, for joining me. It's been good to get the show back on the road again, and hopefully we'll push on with weekly episodes filling you all in about all the Fulham stuff, all the transfer news, all that sort of stuff throughout the summer. Hear from loads of reliable journalists and stuff, get loads of guests on, have a bit of fun, and hopefully be a leading Fulham outlet of transfer information for a busy summer ahead. So thank you for joining me, gents. It's been good speaking with you, and thank you guys for watching or listening, however you're doing so, and we will see you in the next one.
Down and I live by the river.